Phil Mickelson has spent 4 decades escaping impossible lies, brutal bunkers, and Sunday pressure, but the danger now sits beyond the ropes. At 56, the six-time major champion is facing questions that no flop shot can answer. Reports surrounding his private conduct, gambling history, disappearing schedule, and uncertain future have placed enormous pressure on the people closest to him. Now, attention has shifted toward his 3 adult children, Amanda, Sophia, and Evan. Their public silence has been interpreted by some fans as a painful sign of distance. However, silence is not proof of betrayal, and verified statement confirms that they have abandoned their father. Still, the deeper family crisis cannot be ignored. Why has Mickelson vanished from golf? What are his children being forced to process? And could protecting themselves look like turning against him? Subscribe for golf stories that go beyond the leaderboard. Then tell us, should a player's family ever be dragged into his public downfall? For years, Mickelson's family was part of the picture everyone loved. Amy and the children appeared beside greens, joined major celebrations, and helped build the warmer side of the lefty image. Phil was not simply the daring golfer attacking pins that sensible players avoided. He was presented as the husband, father, and smiling family man who somehow balanced enormous fame with life at home. That image mattered. Golf fans watched his children run onto greens after victories. Television cameras caught Amy waiting beside the final hole. Magazine profiles described a close household surviving the unusual pressure of professional sport. Each family moment softened Mickelson's aggressive personality and made his success feel personal. When Amy was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2009, Phil stepped away from competition to support her. The golf world responded with sympathy. Players wore pink, fans sent messages. Rivalries briefly became irrelevant because this was bigger than sport. Later that year, Mickelson returned and won the Tour Championship. Amy was not present, but the victory carried her name emotionally. Then came the 2010 Masters, where Phil won his 3rd green jacket. His embrace with Amy became one of Augusta's most memorable scenes. That history explains why the current questions feel so uncomfortable. Mickelson's public identity was never built by trophies alone. His family helped provide the emotional foundation beneath those trophies. Therefore, when controversy reaches the front door, the consequences do not stop with the golfer. They spread through the household. Over recent years, Mickelson has admitted that gambling became reckless and damaging. He described losses that created embarrassment, stress, and harm for people around him. Famous athletes often speak about personal mistakes as though they were bad rounds. Review the card, learn the lesson, and arrive fresh tomorrow. Family life does not offer such a clean reset. Money can be recovered. Trust takes longer. A missed putt becomes history within minutes. A broken promise may remain inside a family for years. Mickelson has said Amy helped him through his gambling problems. He has credited her love, honesty, and support while discussing his effort to change. That support complicates the dramatic claim that his entire family has suddenly turned against him. Available public reporting says Amy remains beside him, not across the table, preparing an emotional exit. Yet his 3 children are adults now. Amanda, Sophia, and Evan are no longer young faces appearing in championship photographs. They have their own identities, relationships, careers, and private boundaries. Their silence cannot automatically be treated as approval, anger, forgiveness, or rejection. Still, imagine their position. Every fresh headline carries their surname. Every allegation invites strangers to inspect their childhood. Every debate about Phil's behavior pulls Amy and the children into a public trial they never entered. Apparently, fame provides excellent hospitality until the bill arrives. This is where the story changes. The central issue is not whether 3 children issued statements against Phil. They did not. The issue is whether public scandal has forced them to create distance from the Mickelson brand. That difference is crucial. Turning against someone sounds dramatic, final, and hostile. Creating boundaries can be quiet, temporary, and necessary. A son or daughter may love a parent while refusing to defend every decision. They may offer private support without becoming part of a media strategy. They may also demand answers that fans will never hear. Family loyalty is not a blank scorecard. The latest pressure surrounding Mickelson has grown because his absence from competition created an information vacuum. Early in 2026, he said that he and Amy needed to focus on a private family health matter. He missed LIV golf events and eventually withdrew from the Masters. For any golfer, missing Augusta matters. For Mickelson, it carries special weight. He won the Masters 3 times. Augusta National helped define his legacy. His leap after the winning putt in 2004 remains one of golf's great celebrations. The green jacket transformed him from brilliant nearly man into major champion. Walking away from that stage therefore signaled something serious. At first, the explanation remained limited to family health. That privacy deserved respect. Then, allegations about Mickelson's conduct surfaced in separate media reports. His representatives challenged parts of the reporting, denied certain claims, and argued that different events were being combined into a misleading story. Mickelson has not provided a detailed public account answering every allegation. Suddenly, his absence looked more complicated. Was he staying away only because of the family health matter? Was he also protecting his family from the storm? Did the pressure surrounding his private conduct influence the decision? Without a direct, complete statement, those questions remain unanswered. However, one conclusion is obvious. His children inherited the consequences without choosing the controversy. Amanda, the eldest, has often been linked to one of the most emotional moments in Mickelson's career. In 1999, Phil carried a pager during the U.S. Open because Amy was expecting their first child. He was prepared to leave Pinehurst if labor began, even while chasing the major that would continue escaping him. Payne Stewart defeated Mickelson, then famously held Phil's face, and reminded him that fatherhood mattered more than the trophy. That scene became part of golf history. Amanda's arrival helped define Phil as the devoted father willing to sacrifice a U.S. Open opportunity. For years, the story strengthened his image. Now, any suggestion of tension between father and daughter cuts directly across that old memory. But no credible public evidence shows Amanda has denounced him. The same applies to Sophia and Evan. Neither has publicly announced a family split. Neither has accused Phil of wrongdoing in a verified statement. Their absence from his defense may attract speculation, but adults are not required to release press statements whenever a parent enters controversy. Silence is not a signed affidavit. Golf commentary often treats missing information like an open fairway. Everyone pulls driver and swings as hard as possible. Unfortunately, imagination has no out-of-bounds stakes. What can reasonably be discussed is the pressure these 3 people face. First, they must separate the father they know from the public figure being examined. That is emotionally difficult. Families experience a private version of famous people that fans never see. Warm memories can exist beside disappointment. Gratitude can exist beside anger. Love can survive without removing accountability. Second, they must decide whether speaking would help or worsen matters. A public defense could be interpreted as loyalty, but it could also expose them to harsher attention. Any carefully chosen sentence would be examined like slow-motion footage of a controversial drop. Third, they must protect their mother. Amy has been married to Phil since 1996. She stood beside him during career highs, health battles, gambling problems, the LIV golf backlash, and years of relentless travel. Recent statements from Mickelson's representatives describe her support as unwavering. Nevertheless, support does not mean an absence of pain. A wife can defend her husband's effort to improve while still demanding truth. Children can respect their mother's choice while making different choices for themselves. Families are not team competitions where everyone must wear matching shirts and repeat the captain's message. Sometimes love looks united from outside. Sometimes it looks like 3 closed doors and 4 difficult conversations. The harshest consequence for Mickelson may not be another lost sponsor, missed major, or damaged business relationship. It may be realizing that his children can love him while refusing to protect his public image. That possibility would blindside any father. Mickelson built his career through control. He controlled trajectory, spin, imagination, and risk better than almost anyone. When trapped behind a tree, he saw openings other players missed. When short-sighted beside a green, he turned disaster into applause. Family conflict cannot be managed with a 60-degree wedge. There is no perfect landing spot. There is no caddy calculating the percentage. There is no rules official granting relief from emotional damage. Critics will argue that Mickelson created his own problems. His gambling history was not invented by rivals. His controversial comments surrounding LIV golf came from recorded conversations. His decision to join the breakaway league reshaped how many fans viewed him. More recent allegations have added another layer, although disputed claims must not be treated as established findings. Supporters will respond that Mickelson has admitted serious faults and pursued recovery. They will mention his charity work, devotion during Amy's illness, generosity toward young golfers, and decades of entertaining fans. Both versions can contain truth. People are rarely one clean score. A champion may be generous and reckless. A loving father may cause deep frustration. A public mistake may not erase every private act of care, but private care does not erase public responsibility either. That is why the children's position matters, even without a statement. They represent the part of this story that cannot be repaired through publicity. Mickelson could hire lawyers, advisors, and communication experts. He could release a carefully polished message. He could eventually return to LIV Golf, wave to the crowd, produce one ridiculous recovery shot, and remind everyone why Lefty remained compelling for so long. None of that would settle matters at home. Golf loves redemption because redemption sells tickets. A struggling veteran returns, makes birdie on 18, removes his cap, and receives an emotional standing ovation. Music rises, cameras zoom. Everyone agrees the difficult chapter has ended. Real recovery is less convenient. It may involve apology without immediate forgiveness. It may require answering the same painful question repeatedly. It may mean respecting a child's need for space. Most importantly, it demands change when cameras are absent. Mickelson's representatives have said his priority is becoming the husband, father, and man his family deserves. That sentence reveals the true battle. It does not promise another championship. It does not mention LIV standings, appearance money, or world ranking points. It places family first. Yet words only begin the round. His children will judge consistency over time. They will know whether promises are followed by action. They will see whether responsibility replaces excuses. Outsiders cannot make that judgment because outsiders do not live inside the relationship. Perhaps the three children remain completely supportive in private. Maybe they are hurt but hopeful. Possibly they have established firm boundaries. Each scenario is believable, but none should be declared as fact without their voices. The title's emotional power comes from imagining Phil losing the three people whose childhoods helped shape his most beloved image. That fear is enormous. Still, turning speculation into certainty would repeat the worst habit of modern sports coverage, treating human beings as props inside a dramatic thumbnail. There is enough verified tension without inventing a family rebellion. Mickelson is 56. His competitive window is narrowing. His relationship with the PGA Tour remains transformed by the LIV split. His schedule has been interrupted. His public reputation has absorbed years of controversy. Recent accusations have produced further scrutiny and legal pushback. Meanwhile, golf continues moving. New stars claim television time. Younger champions occupy leaderboards. LIV Golf evolves without waiting for one veteran. Sponsors calculate value with cold precision. Fans who once defended Mickelson automatically now ask harder questions. Time has become the toughest course he has ever played. At 50, he defeated Kiowa Island and became the oldest major champion in men's golf history. That victory appeared to prove age could be bullied by imagination and nerve. 6 years later, age presents a different challenge. Can he rebuild trust before opportunities disappear? Another major victory would strengthen his golf record, but it would not answer concerns about his personal conduct. Another public apology might sound sincere, but sincerity needs evidence. Another period away from competition could protect privacy, but silence also allows rumors to multiply. Mickelson, therefore, faces a decision larger than retirement. He must decide what kind of ending he wants. Does he chase one last competitive moment and hope performance changes the conversation? Does he return publicly with a full explanation? Does he remain away while concentrating on his family? Or does he accept that some parts of his legacy are no longer his to control? His children will eventually form their own understanding of his life. They know the private father, not merely the golfer. Their judgment will carry more weight than applause at Augusta, criticism online, or arguments between PGA Tour and LIV supporters. Trophies measure achievement. Families measure character at close range. So has Phil Mickelson truly been blindsided by 3 family members turning against him? Publicly available evidence does not establish that claim. What it does establish is a crisis capable of testing every family bond he spent decades presenting as unbreakable. That reality may be even more powerful than the headline. A loud betrayal offers a simple villain and a clean ending. A family quietly struggling with love, anger, loyalty, and accountability offers no such comfort. It forces everyone to accept that relationships can remain intact while changing forever. For Phil, the best outcome would not be forcing his children to defend him. It would be giving them reasons to trust him. That requires patience. It requires honesty. It requires accepting that forgiveness cannot be demanded on a deadline. Above all, it requires protecting their privacy, even when revealing details might improve his public position. Golfers often say the scorecard does not care about reputation. Family life works differently. The people closest to you remember how the score was made. Mickelson's past contains spectacular victories, painful mistakes, fearless shots, damaging choices, genuine generosity, and admitted addiction. His next chapter will depend on whether he confronts all of those pieces instead of selecting only the flattering ones. Fans may eventually welcome him back. Golf may celebrate him again. Sponsors may reconsider. However, the most important gallery contains only 4 people: Amy, Amanda, Sophia, and Evan. Their support cannot be won with prize money or purchased through perfect public relations. It must be earned privately. Perhaps those relationships remain strong. Perhaps strain has created distance until the family speaks. Responsible commentary must leave room for both possibilities. Still, the warning is clear. A professional golfer can survive missed cuts, lost endorsements, angry galleries, and political battles between tours. Losing trust at home is different. There is no next tournament where the slate becomes clean. At 56, Phil Mickelson may still have golf left in him. The larger question is whether the man behind Lefty can repair what fame, controversy, and personal choices have placed under pressure. Subscribe if you believe accountability matters more than reputation. Then comment, should Mickelson explain everything publicly or keep the fight for his family completely private?